It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. Dumas.
Good afternoon and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host, and I'm joined with a special guest today. I'll introduce that special guest in just a moment, but I hope you had a great weekend. I know I certainly did. I've been enjoying this good weather. You know, it's been in the state of Georgia, it's up and down. You know, we get cool weather in the mornings and then we get warm about midday. And so, we've got some really crazy weather. This past weekend, the NAACP, we celebrated 50 years of our Earl T. Shinholster Freedom Fund banquet. That was held this Saturday at 6 o'clock. Part of that we wanted to do virtually, but we did have some technical difficulties. We ended up recording it and we'll air it later on YouTube. But we did have a great program. We had a great lineup. Of course, I was the MC of the program. We had Dr. Sims, that was our special speaker, and a number of awards that had gone out. And so we certainly had a great time. And I'm going to touch more on that towards the end of the show. But today we have a very special guest that's joining us today, Miss Cheryl Finney.
Hi.
How you doing, Miss Finney?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. Miss Finney are you the CEO of the foundation?
Yes.
She's the CEO of Wings and Words of Hope, Joseph A. Finney Senior Foundation.
Yeah.
And I was very intrigued when I heard what her foundation is all about. It deals with caregivers.
Yes.
And I myself, my wife and I have been caregivers for a number of years. And so we understand the sacrifice, we understand the struggles and some of the issues that caregivers go through. And it's good to know that someone acknowledges the care that caregivers give to the community. So if you would, just tell us a little bit about how your foundation started and what motivated you to become a proponent for caregivers.
Well, my late husband, was diagnosed with throat cancer
Wow.
at age 50.
Wow.
And he never smoked or drank. And that's how I became a caregiver with his challenges, what we went through. He told me when he got diagnosed with cancer, this was his third time with it. He had beat it the first 2 times. But he told me that when the doctor diagnosed him, that God was using him to let people know that he's still the same God that he were back then, that he is now.
Absolutely.
And my husband, the third time he was diagnosed, and we had to move to Augusta because it was stage 4, where no doctors could do anything. So we moved to Augusta, where they removed everything inside of his mouth,
Wow.
tongue, everything. And they reconstructed it with his muscles in his thighs. But even though they removed all the cancer, a couple months later, it came back again. And so one thing about cancer, nobody never knows. And while we was going through this for probably like a year, we talked about the struggles of how even though you got insurance, it's still medication that insurance would not pay for. It was treatments that you is out there that you can't get unless you financially able to do it. And we didn't understand that until we went through it. And while we was going through this, me and my husband talked about it, and he said God laid on him that once he got well, we wanted to start something, a ministry to help other people that go through, because we didn't know, we was thinking if you got insurance that everything is good, but that's not true. Insurance don't cover a lot of medications, a lot of treatments that you need.
So not only are you dealing with the problem of a loved one, having possibly a fatal illness, you're also dealing with the hardship of financial obligation or maybe the lack of finances
Yes.
needed to get the kind of treatment that you want for your loved one.
Right.
And so there, emotionally, that can be quite a roller coaster, I would think.
Yes, it was. And even though we were blessed with church and family that helped us, but we realized there's a lot of people out here that not able to do that or have that. So we wanted to start, and that's how we started this foundation. We was once he got well, we was gonna do it together, but unfortunately, God healed him on the other side. And so, in memory of him and to his legacy and what we had talked about doing, I started a foundation in honor of him so we can help caregivers with their loved ones and their family members.
And one of the things, being a caregiver myself, one of the things sometimes people don't understand is I guess, the work that's involved.
Yes.
In your case, communicating with your husband and trying to communicate with him in the state that he was in, I'm sure that was quite challenging within
Yes.
itself. And so, challenges such as that, as well as round the clock care. Now, were there any other people who were brought in, any special nurses or
No.
anything that helped you?
No, because he wanted, when you're dealing with issues like that, terminal illness, a lot of times you're not comfortable with people seeing you the way you are. And we were best friends as well. So me being his wife, I felt that it was my responsibility. And that's what his wishes were. So I didn't have a problem doing it. But yes, it was hard. At times that I cried. If it weren't for God, I don't know how I would have got through it. But I made it through it. And I felt like that was something that I needed to make sure that I do, because through sickness, like in the your wedding vow say, through sickness and
And
good
health.
health.
That's exactly.
So yes.
And you know, it- with you being his best friend and discussing, things prior to him possibly getting in a state where he couldn't really communicate verbally,
Right.
um, did you find it sometimes frustrating in that you had to stay on that particular course that you guys had agreed upon? Or-
Yes.
Because it was left up, you were the one who had to do the work
You make all the
and make all the
decisions.
decisions. And so, not only were you felt you were making a decision for that was right for him, but you had to make sure it was a decision that you could live with
Yes.
yourself. Correct?
Yes, I did, because before we talked about, the doctor told us he was gonna have to go through a 17-hour surgery, and I asked what his requests were and what he wanted in details. And he told me, he said, Cheryl, no matter what happens in this operating room, don't give up. Don't allow the doctors to give up. And I took that with me. And 2 hours while they was in surgery, 2 hours later, the doctor came out and told me that they had some complications, and they think it would be in best interest to close them up and just, let things be. And I told him no, because he already told me no matter what, let the surgery go through.
Right.
So I didn't give up. I followed his instructions. And after surgery, he made it through just fine. Everything was good. But being a caregiver, it's hard.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're going to have your good days, your bad days. You're going to cry. You're going to laugh sometimes, especially, because you seeing what your loved ones going through. It's a heavy load, but you can get through it.
Absolutely. I know you shared some photos with me earlier, and the transition process of seeing a healthy individual kind of go through diminishing phase.
Yes.
It's somewhat heartbreaking, I'm sure, to you to see that each day, that those stages as they develop.
Yes.
With,
I never thought cancer could disform you until my husband went through it. But he was a healthy person. He
absolutely.
lifted weights. He was a bodybuilder. And to be diagnosed with throat cancer, you think only somebody get throat cancer is somebody who's smoking, but he never smoked. He wasn't around people that smoke, because we have a son that has cystic fibrosis. So we practice non-smoking in all forms. So it was heartbreaking to see the transformation of what he went through, and he had to get one of those things put in his throat where he couldn't couldn't talk. It was just heartbreaking.
Absolutely, and that's another part of what caregivers go through, because a lot of times your friends and your community people that or even your people you work with don't really know the toil that
Yes.
that it involves. When you're in a when a person's in a hospital, at least the loved one gets to go home and rest and
Right.
not worry about getting up in the middle of the night and tending to various needs that the person may have. But in your case, you're there 24/7,
And you don't get a
and
break.
you don't get a break.
And
And
the cancer was going up to his brain, so he was comfortable with me being present. So he was on edge when other people came. So I had to be there all the time.
wow. Now, career-wise, prior to your husband's illness, were you working, or both of you working prior to him becoming ill?
We both retired when he was working at Snappers Power Equipment. His hands got crushed,
Wow.
and he had to retire, and I had to retire with him to help him um, take care of himself and learn how to use his hands again.
So that became pretty much your job to
Yes,
take care of him.
it
And
was.
and a lot of times when that takes place, person's self-esteem sometimes can be affected. Do you feel there were any challenges that you faced that really kind of changed? And I'm sure a lot of it changed your scope of what you initially had planned, uh,
Yeah,
for your
life
life.
changed. Yes, we had 4 kids. He was a strong man that worked all the time. Majority of my life, I took care of the kids, took care of the home until they got older. Then I went out to work. But then when he got his hands crushed, life changed. I had this, see about him get his hands back together. He had like 21 surgery. His hands finally was able where he can take care of himself. So, but life did change drastic for us when he was diagnosed with cancer. Because not only would we had the struggles of taking care of our son that had cystic fibrosis, now my husband has cancer.
Wow.
So it was challenging, but I wouldn't give nothing if I could do it again.
Now, in that regard, with your son having the diagnosis that he had, was there any care that came into the home for him, or did you have to take care of
I
both of them?
I done it all.
Wow, wow, that's quite challenging, quite challenging. And so, for our listening audience, if you are a caregiver or if you've been a caregiver, we'd love to hear from you. You can give us a call here at the station. You can reach us at 478-250-1444. Once again, that number is 478-250-1444. We'd love to hear from you, if you're a caregiver and some of the challenges you have faced. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead. Caller, are you there? Okay, I think they may just be listening in. But we do see a lot of the challenges that you've gone through as a caregiver, and that has become a passion for you, I would think,
Yeah.
going through that with your husband and starting this foundation. So, what are you looking to accomplish through your foundation?
To help caregivers to give them an opportunity to bring caregivers together because sometimes you just need someone to listen, someone that
Exactly,
understand.
exactly.
So every year it's just personal to me because I know I couldn't have got through if I didn't have someone to talk to and listen to me. And it ain't just from 9 to 5. Sometimes in the midnight hour. So this our third year, but I do a caregivers dinner in November because that's caregivers month. And I asked everybody to nominate the angel on earth, their caregiver, and we choose 10 caregivers, and we take them out, And a lot, just to sit down, take a break, be able to talk about, if you need to know about some resources, we can, provide those. But also just to really just relax and talk and not have to worry about the situation, and other people understand what you're going through.
Right.
Because you're not gonna understand it unless you don't went
Unless you've
through it.
gone through it, that's for certain. And a lot of times too, as it relates to something as simple as meal preparation,
Yes.
you've got to take in consideration not only your meal for the immediate family, but also for that loved one. And so those kinds of things, people don't really think about, and but those are challenges. Now, as far as lifting, you know, your husband, you said, was a bodybuilder. Of course, at some point, he was a pretty much a well put together gentleman,
Right.
and so that would take a lot of training to learn how to turn and to maneuver. Or could he do a lot of these things on
He
his
can
own?
do a lot of it on his own.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Um, I know when my wife and I were giving care to her dad, he couldn't. Um, he
Turn.
turn as much, and so a lot of those things we had to learn how to place the
Turn.
sheets and
Mm-hmm.
how to change
Yes.
change the dressings in certain cases. But a lot of times we had a nurse that would come in to do the dressing changes and those kinds of things. But
No, I did the dressing.
wow,
Changing.
you had to do it all.
Yes. The nurses did come out closer to the end, but majority of it was I learned how to do it.
Absolutely, and just hygiene, you know, and those kinds of things, the do's and the don'ts
Yes.
as it relates to hygiene. I don't know if he was able to take a full bath or if he had to have a shower or
I bathed him, bathed him
wonderful.
up, made sure he had his he had an opening in his neck, and I had to make sure that that dressing was clean and dressed all the time, because he had an opening where he had this radiation,
Wow.
and the radiation, had ate up his neck, and it had an opening in it. So we dressed that all the time to make sure it was clean. And I did take him to several places to try to see could they help. And everywhere we went, they looked at me and said, "Are you doing this?" I was surprised that he need to be in a hospital or somewhere. And yes, I'm doing it. We have done all we can do, and I made a promise that he would never have to go into a hospital or a nursing home. He wanted to be at home, so that's why I made sure I was
Everything
able
was
to
done.
do. Yes.
Was there any special equipment that you had to have order? Um,
Mainly, most of the stuff I had to order was just um, medications. He had a feeding tube. He had to have a lot of dressing and cleaning to your feeding tube. The certain type of you know the food that you have to eat through the feeding tube. And it's sad because he, with his insurance, you're supposed to change the bags every day for the feeding, but your insurance only give you 15 bags.
wow.
So you have to purchase the rest of the bag. And then some people out here have to use the bags 2 or 3 times. You're already prone for an infection. And so if you use the bags more than one time, you definitely gonna get an infection.
Absolutely.
So a lot of, supplies that we get from the foundation, we give to people that have those kind of needs. Need extra bags just for feeding.
Wow. Because you understand the needs having to have done that, for your loved one. And so it's a blessing that you guys have started the foundation to lend a helping hand, if you would, I guess, to caregivers,
Yes.
um, because it's very, very hard work.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very, very hard work, and you grind and you grind and you grind, and you try to be there for that loved one, and it doesn't cease. 365.
That's right.
Holidays. It's the same thing. So I really applaud you um, for your work
Thank
and
you.
the things you're doing. Um, even though it was very challenging for you, it seems that your foundation gives back quite a bit to the community. I was reading where you guys do a food giveaway.
Yes,
You have
and
done in the past,
Thanksgiving.
yes, with some of the churches, St. Paul, AME
AME Church in
Church
Juliet.
in
That was his
Juliet.
home church.
Wow,
I have found out that it helps me to give back. That's how I got through. Me and my husband were married 32 years. I was 17, he was 19. That's all I knew. And to lose him at such an early age, I if I would have gave back, I would have got lost. And that's how I made it through, by giving back and helping others who going through. Because I understand about being a caregiver, and it's challenging, and it's hard to explain unless you haven't been through it.
absolutely, I agree with you on that
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Um,
So during Thanksgiving, I just want to help needed families, and they let the foundation know if they need. Oh, I go to the church, and we just have it there, and they able to come and get whatever they need that we have. And I have other churches in the community that donate, so I can do this for them, and and during Thanksgiving time.
Absolutely. And what are some of, do you have partners? Who are some of your partners that partner with your foundation? Or are you always constantly reaching out
I'm
for?
always constantly reaching out to churches and other people that I know. This is new. I'm learning, and I'm trusting God, and I'm just walking in faith what He have assigned me to do.
Absolutely. So, our listening audience out there, if they want to help your foundation, if they want to give donations, what's the number they need to call to contact you, or website?
Wings and Words of Hope at gmail.com. They phone number is 478-221-4998 for the Wings and Words of Hope. They can also find us on Facebook, Wings and Words of Hope. They can get in touch with us that way as well. We also is having a benefit dinner coming up soon. We're doing a fundraiser to help with the foundation, to help with the caregivers and their loved ones. That's December the 11th at Harriet Tubman Museum from 5 to 9. Um, you can purchase a ticket on Eventbrite. If you can't make it, you can also purchase a ticket to let a caregiver come.
Wow.
On that night, we also are doing a Caregiver of the Year award, um, just to show more appreciation to the caregivers. Give them a chance to dress up and come out, enjoy. We're going to have a stand up comedian, a
Wow.
live band, cater. I just, I like giving back, and I know how hard, even though, I love my husband to death, and it was hard, but it helped me to have friends and people I can depend on that could just not relieve me physically, but mentally, that I could talk to, get a laugh, and that's very important.
Yeah, because laughter, really helps a lot, in situations, because a lot of times we're faced with things and we don't know anything else to do. A
Right.
lot of times, either you laugh or cry in situations. So it's just um, it's just a good thing to have an outlet,
Yes.
such as that. And so, given that information again, because they probably want to write that down. They may not have had a pencil or paper,
Okay.
but just give them some more information on that event again.
Okay. December the 11th at Harriet Tubman Museum in Macon, Georgia. It's going to be from 5 to 9. You can purchase your ticket at Eventbrite. Um, we're going to have a live band, a stand-up comedian. It's going to be catered, and a lot of fun, but it's also for a good cause. We raising money to help caregivers and their loved ones. We have gave out scholarship to caregivers' children for college. We did that last year, and we just help in any way we can possibly help. That if it's the children that need to go off to school, because you got to think. I mean, if you're taking care of your loved ones, and they might have children,
Right.
then they got to go off to college. They got things. It don't just stop at just taking care of your loved one.
Absolutely. And so we do hope that people will support your effort because you are giving back, and any way the community can help, and they're helping caregivers, and that's something that's needed. That's
Yes.
something that's needed. I know when we were rendering care, a lot of times, you wanted to go to certain events, but you couldn't go because you had to
See
stay
about your
there
love.
and take care. You couldn't take a vacation. You had to wait, at the right time to do that, to get some support or to get someone to step in.
Yes.
And people may not realize it, but a lot of times family are not too readily stepping in to help.
That's true.
A lot of times we think, well, I'll call my brother or sister and they can, you know, look after them for a while. But people have busy lives, and a lot of
Yeah.
times your urgency is not their urgency, and
And life you have to put on hold. You definitely have to put life
abs-
on hold and put
absolutely
yourself last to take care of your loved one.
right.
And that's why in November I encourage people to nominate their angel on earth. And we choose 10 caregivers and we take them out. This year we're gonna have it at it's gonna be held at Ponds in Warner Robins.
Oh, okay.
It's
Good venue.
gonna be November the 5th. And the deadline for the caregivers just passed is October the 21st. And we're going to be announcing the 10 caregivers on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. And then we tell them what the venue going to be and what time. They don't have to bring anything. We take care of everything.
Wow.
And they come out. I'm going to also have a guest speaker, Miss Patricia Duncan,
Hmm.
which have her own adult daycare school. And she just started a school for people to come in and help learn how to be caregivers and
Wow.
assistant nurse. So she's a speaker for November the 5th, and we have entertainment and we give out gifts to them. We just cater to the caregivers and show them how much we appreciate them.
Wow. That sounds like a good event, particularly at the pond. I understand they
Yes.
have a good menu there.
You're more than welcome to come. I hope you and your wife can make it.
Absolutely, we'll try to do that because that sounds really good. Um, Miss Manya Rutland was on the phone. Are you still there, Miss Rutland? She may have had to get off the line, but I certainly appreciate her having you come on the show and to talk about your foundation. I think it's a world,
I'm here.
well worthwhile.
I'm here.
Um, yes, Miss Rutland, how are you?
Very good. I was enjoying the dialogue between the two of you all so much. I forgot I was muted, but I've been listening in. Great discussion.
Absolutely. Anything you'd like to say in particular?
Well, just that I'm on Miss Finney's board for the foundation, and I joined the board because, as you can see, her passion about helping caregivers on this journey, this very difficult journey to care for other
Absolutely.
people. And I just admired her because she did it with such dignity and grace and class. I mean, the way she appears, for those viewers who can see her, that's how she looked when she was in the hospital. That's how she looked, whether it was 4 o'clock in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. And that's hard to do when you're caring for someone, and to have the dignity and grace and advocacy that she did for her husband. And when she said she wanted to start this foundation, I was on board. And the same manner in which she attended to the details of her husband and making sure everything was in order, it was done with class and dignity. That's exactly how her community outreach has been. And I'm telling you, the event in December, the fundraiser for the foundation, that is a can't miss because, as she said, there's live entertainment, comedian, um, catered meal, and I can assure you that meal is going to be more than a drumstick, yellow rice, and green beans. Okay,
Wow.
it's going to be a grand event and also going for a good cause to help other caregivers do the hard work that, as you said, you and Mrs. Dumas have done and continue to do, as well as Mrs. Finney. So I hope your listening audience will go to the um, Facebook page or give her a call, make a donation because it is definitely for a great cause.
Absolutely. And we do know that this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. And then the upcoming month of November will be Caregivers Month. And
Yes.
so she's right there, you know, in line, doing the things that are needed for our caregivers.
Well, so I'm an advocate for breast cancer because I lost my mother to breast cancer as
Wow.
well in 2014.
Wow. And so, life is a series of ups and downs,
Sure.
but it's all in
Handle
how
it.
we handle those ups and downs. And it seems that you've pretty much championed the caregiver part, as it relates to your husband and even the other caregivers across the community, giving them hope and also the resources to continue to be good caregivers to their
Yes.
loved ones. Because I think that's important as well. The type of care and the quality of care that we're able to provide for loved ones.
Yes.
And
That's one reason why a lot of people want to equip themselves to do it to make sure that their loved ones get the proper care.
exactly. And resource wise, that is not always an easy thing to do because of the cost involved
Yes.
with a lot of the resources that are needed to take care of a loved one. And so we applaud you in your efforts to raise those funds to help those caregivers who may or may not have the resources at their disposal to meet the needs of their
Loved
loved
ones.
ones. And so that's a great thing that you're doing, and you can tell that God is guiding you through this process.
Yes. Nobody but God. I
Absolutely,
didn't think it was possible, so I know it's God.
absolutely. And Ms. Rutland, we thank you for being a part of that board to help guide it and to help direct it in such a way that the goals that she set for her foundation can be met. So we certainly appreciate
I
that
just
your
thank all
input as
my
well.
board members. They have been doing a
Oh,
wonderful job
absolutely.
supporting me.
Wow, wow. Anything else?
Absolutely. No, and we thank you for this opportunity to share about the foundation and the outreach and service we're trying to do in the community. And we hope that it's of benefit to your listeners to either call the foundation, attend the event, support uh, the the event, support the foundation because it's truly about the caregivers. Because many times our caregivers they suffer in silence because of the sheer volume of work that they not only have to do but that is expected of them. And oftentimes you think the people who are paid to provide the services, no one can do it for your loved ones the way you can.
Absolutely.
That's true.
So,
And that's the thing that sometimes never happens. We don't get that pat on the back to say, you're doing a great job or You provided the best service you could possibly provide for the loved one. Um, a lot of times people look at all the negative parts of the situation, but never look at the positive as far as the work that goes into providing those services. I noticed you brought a few items here.
Yes.
We've got a coffee mug with some wings there. And tell us a little bit about these items and what they represent.
They represent late Joseph Finney. These items is to help support the caregivers, where you can purchase them online on the foundation page. You can call in and place an order. We have teddy bears in memory of him that we give out during Christmas time. We call him Pooh Bear because that was his nickname, Pooh, when he
Wow.
was growing up. I brought you a T-shirt. You can purchase a T-shirt
Wow.
also online. But this one personally for you.
Well, thank
for
you.
having
Thank
us on
you.
the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I kind of like that shirt. I saw you
Okay.
come in, and
We have
I
hats
really
as
like that.
well. We have
Wonderful.
hats and the little bag that we give out to the kids during school time.
And it quotes Isaiah 40:31 and Joseph A. Finney Senior Foundation.
That was his favorite quote,
Wow.
favorite
Beautiful.
Bible verse,
Beautiful.
40:31.
Beautiful.
So we have more items. You can go to the Facebook page and check out all the items, and all the proceeds go to the caregivers and their families.
Wow. Well, I will certainly check it out and make some purchases as well because, we can all do our part to help.
Thank
And so we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. We appreciate you sharing with us. And we'll get to talk, after the show about some things that we can continue in supporting your foundation. And so
Thank you.
we look forward to that. And thank you for coming out and sharing your experience and sharing your story. I know a lot of times it's tough, sharing certain things about ourselves personally,
Yes.
and but you have gone beyond that and shared the story that you've gone through and some of the struggles you've had to deal with in caregiving, and we appreciate your your candidness about that. We certainly appreciate that. And any other time we can get you back on the show, we'd love to have you on. And
Please do. I just want caregivers to know that they're not alone.
absolutely, and that's something good for them to know because a lot of times you feel you're in it by yourself,
Right.
and you can't always get that support right away that you need. And but God's always faithful, and He gives us the strength to get through the things that we're faced with. And particularly now, we're headed towards the holiday season, and there are a lot of people who aren't able to really enjoy the festivities as much because they are caregivers, and a lot of their dedication and work is surrounded by that person that they're caring for. And so, while we're in the hustle and bustle of holiday shopping and those kind of things, think about our caregivers and how you can support them, how you can help them. And so give their foundation a call and see how you can contribute and donate to their cause and help them to reach the goals that you guys are trying to reach through your foundation.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being here, and we certainly applaud you for your efforts and your dedication to the community by doing health care to the caregivers and giving back. And so we really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And you're welcome to stay in the studio. I want to talk a little bit, switch gears just a little bit. I want to talk about our banquet we just held this past weekend. And it's our 50th annual Earl T. Shinholster Freedom Fund virtual banquet. And we really had a great time. We had some great people involved. Matter of fact, our speaker was Dr. Dan A. Sims, who's the superintendent of Bibb County Schools. He was an awesome presenter and speaker, has a lot of energy and a lot of good goals for our students. I think he can relate to our students a lot better um, with the energy that he has, and I was really excited about that. There were several awards that we give out each year. One of those being the Earl T. Shinholster Award. Of course, is our major award. But we also had a moment of silence for one of our dear members of Mr. Peter Taylor, who most of you know was shot and killed in his home um, by a stray bullet, and we still don't know who that person is that caused his death. And so we had a moment of silence for him, of course. Um, he is very dedicated in his service to the NAACP, as well as A. Philip Randolph and some other organizations he was a part of. He was a very dedicated individual. And of course, our sympathy goes out to his family always because of his dedication and his commitment to our organization. Part of our program, we had the Honorable Thomas M. Jackson Youth Service Award. And that's always an exciting award because it deals with our children, it deals with our youth. And some of our youth are doing some great things. And so not all of them are on drugs, not all of them are in gangs, not all of them are shooting up the community. A lot of them are doing very hard work, making good grades, excelling in their test scores. And so we had the honor of awarding Nicholas Woodford that particular award. Also, we had the Macon Bibb NAACP Youth Council Award. And we had two recipients for that award, Casey Colton, I believe, and Carter Cotton were two of our recipients for that. We also had the Church Community Service Award, and that particular award went to Keith McIntosh. And we had a Communication Service Award that went to Shirley Ellis, which is no stranger to the Middle Georgia area. She's been a DJ for quite some time, and she always does community events and those kinds of things. And one of my favorite people got a Community Service Award, Sister Teresa Sullivan with Daybreak. Daybreak, of course, does a lot for the homeless. They're constantly providing services for them. They have computer services where they can actually come in and apply for their Social Security and different things that they may not have access to living on the street. And Daybreaks provides a lot of those services. They're currently having a wonderful building that's being erected right there near Central City Park. Um, and I believe that will be completed probably sometime in 2023. And I know she's excited about that. They'll have a medical unit located within that building to service some of the homeless medical needs as well. So that's something we're looking forward to. We also had the Abdul Laundry Organizational Award, and that went to the Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club. You know, a lot of the motorcycle clubs do a lot in the community. They donate school items to our children. They feed the homeless. They also feed the community, and so they do a lot of work. And the award this year went to the Black Sabbath Motorcycle Club. We also had the Harvey Lee Hollenshed Music Award. That particular award went to Mr. Mark Lockett, who used to be a part of the Reddings singing group. If you remember the Reddings, Mr. Lockett is also doing his own thing and still recording. And so he got the Harvey Lee Hollenshed Music Award. We also had the John D. Thomas Education Award, and that award went to Miss Wanda West, Dr. Wanda West, Pastor Wanda West. She just recently got a pastoralship in the AME Church, and so she got the John D. Thomas Education Award. Also, we had the Thomas Mosley Veterans Award, and that went to Mr. Theodore Newton. And We always like to support our veterans. As a matter of fact, we'll be feeding our veterans shortly in November. We usually have a day that we set aside to feed our veterans. And so we look forward to that. We also had the Ann Boatwright Award, which went to Miss Gloria Smith, who is one of our members of the NAACP. And of course, we had the Earl T. Shinholster Award, which is our major award. That award went to Mr. Henry Ficklin. Mr. Henry Ficklin, who we know has been a part of the Macon Bibb Commission, and as also part of the city administration. And so we had a wonderful night. A lot of good awards, a lot of good eating, uh, a lot of good food that was provided by President Westbrooks. And we had a wonderful night. And so if you missed it, of course, we're going to be posting it on YouTube. We did record the event that night, and so we'll be posting that. And we always want to acknowledge our Georgia State Conference President, Attorney Gerald Griggs, who was not in attendance last night, but we did acknowledge his dedication to this organization, as well as our president and CEO of the NAACP, Mr. Derek Johnson. And so we're continuing to work, a lot of work to do out here. Early voting has started, and I understand the turnout has been great. Matter of fact, we had a voter motorcade on yesterday. We left from East Macon at the Rosa Jackson Center and came all the way over to the west side of Macon, near the off of Pinona, and at the Board of Elections, right across from the Board of Elections, is where we culminated that event. Had some good food out there, and a lot of support. And so we're looking forward to a very good election cycle. And we're looking forward to you getting out and voting, casting your vote for your candidate. We're a nonpartisan organization, but we do support various issues that affect our community. And of course, we want you to do that as well. You know, vote for those who have your best interest at heart. That is a right that hasn't been given to us, but that we had to fight for. People bled and died for. And so we want you to continue to support this organization, the NAACP. Also, would like to read out some of our life members. Uh, some of our life members are Annie Aaron, Eula Banning, Johnny Brown, Donia Jackson, John Harvey, Horace Holmes, William Leitner, Vino Ross, Dr. Loretta Greer Cujo Smith, Helen Williams, Dr. Blackwood, Rufus Out, Arkrich, I. Brown, Linda Flagg, Leon Hart, George Henry, Cynthia Knight, Veranda Hill Moore, Ann Bell Scott, James Solomon, Sandra Walker, and Dr. Iroli. And our junior life members are Zarin Hinton Jr., and some of our subscribing life members are David Booker, Walter Booker, Larry Schlesinger, Dorothy Ridley, Gwendolyn Westbrooks, Star Purdue, Senator David Lucas, and Reverend Jackie Lamar Epps. And so we applaud them for their dedication to this organization and their dedicated support. And once again, we thank you for joining us today. This is going to end our show for today. We hope that you'll continue to join us on next week. That's where we should have another exciting guest. And we also like to thank our special guest today, Ms. Cheryl Finney, for being here, talking about her foundation and the work they're doing for caregivers. So until next time, I'm Willie Dumas, your host. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great evening.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants